We're live.
All right, good morning. This is the Special Committee on Guidance Procedures. We had a meeting scheduled for 9:30, and now the entire committee is present, including some of commission members who are not on the committee, but are certainly welcome to stay. There is a proposed resolution to deal with guidance procedures on an interim basis. It's been circulated to the commission, to the committee members. It is intended to be on an interim basis, and that the discussion has been that we try and get a permanent full policy set by the end of the summer. But in order to address issues now, it was determined that we would try and come up with something that would at least address those issues for the next several months until a procedure is in place. We have before us a proposed resolution on interim guidance procedures. Everybody on the committee has received and reviewed it.
Right. It's important. Yeah, this kid, I'll share with you.
Okay. Is there a motion with regard to this resolution so that we can debate it? Hello. Second?
Oh, second, sure.
Okay. Motion made by Commissioner Cardozo, seconded by Commissioner Ayers. All right, discussion.
I would just like to ask Executive Director, if we adopt this resolution, we be still free to change it at any time that we decide as a commission we should.
Correct. Yes.
So that if we are able to do our work over the summer and come up with a concrete recommendation covering all these issues, we could adopt that resolution in lieu of this. Is that correct?
That's correct. And one thing I should say that the committee and the commission may wish to consider at some point is perhaps in addition to having a resolution with respect at least to outside activity approval requests, maybe clarify some aspects of that in the regulations in Part 932.
Since we will ultimately be reviewing as a commission, part of our obligation is to review all the regulations that would fold into that. One point that was made before we went into session is we do need to have all resolutions from every committee sent around to everybody on the commission, whether or not they're on the committee, so that comments can be heard in the preparation of reports to the commission itself. Is there any other discussion on the resolution?
Well, I'd like to seek the advice of counsel and commission, discuss it with our legal counsel.
That would be in terms of this resolution or in terms
of this resolution?
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll hold off on that for the moment. Commissioner Whittingham?
Thank you. I would change, I think, paragraph 1.
The whereas or the number?
Pursuant to,
Okay.
and in accordance specifically where we have, without regard to rank or position or authority, I propose that if it's a statewide or head of an agency, that it be by commission vote. Regardless of whether or not it's routine, I don't foresee it delaying the work of the commission and the staff. It can be accomplished promptly if notice is sent to each commissioner. That is something that in the electronic age is not difficult. So I don't see that as a delay. And so when it comes to any agency head or a statewide public official, I believe it should be for the full committee should vote on it. And so as this is proposed, the proposed resolution, I would amend it as such.
If I can, as an outside member to the committee, does that include Commissioner Whittingham, even those items for which there's current precedent?
I do believe so, because what we improve things, because there are things, what we have learned, or maybe we should have learned, is that there was current precedent or something that we that was done previously, and it came out the wrong way. It's not a suggestion to micromanage. We are charged with oversight for the state. And at the commission level, we should still have some oversight. The best of products, even when the design is done, and then the execution, so the staff has executed it, there is such a thing as quality control. And I am saying at the highest level, regardless of how routine it may seem, we should have that quality control.
And I just want to ask a question, and then if the answer is yes, then maybe we need to address it in executive session. Is it staff's contention that a position like that might contravene?
Yes.
Okay, so that we should discuss.
But I should also add that part of this resolution is recognition of the authority of the commission as a whole to supersede staff's guidance through the mechanism of formal advisory opinion as provided in the same provision in Executive Law 94-7C.
But I think to Commissioner Whittingham's point, her position is that irrespective of that particular authority for the commission, that the commission should also adopt a procedure that it seems as if staff and council are saying contravenes the law. And I think that's what we need to discuss in executive session.
Yeah, and I did want to address, I'm sorry.
I just want to point out, it's suggestion may be very useful, but if the lieutenant governor tomorrow says, I want to be at my son's Boy Scout event and I'm going to be paid $50 for traveling expenses, we don't want to have a special commission meeting to approve that. So I think if we just adopt this resolution as is, and then over the next 3 months, debate these kinds of issues, and there, of course, that's a very small issue, and there's very large issues. And that's why we need to have a very coherent, comprehensive policy, being sure, of course, that it complies with the law. That's why I think we should adopt this resolution now. If there's something particular, some request comes in, we can always have a special meeting, but we've got to move forward. And, you know, what we're talking about now could occupy days worth of legitimate debate. So I think the theory behind this resolution is let's get something interim on the table, let's get it done, and then over the next 3 months, really come up to a comprehensive proposal on all of these kind of issues.
Just to give you the background of what happened is I suggested to our executive director that we needed something more than just a statute, something that would be our operating procedures, at least as on an interim basis, so that we knew where we were going, and then we could put something together on a more comprehensive basis as we go. This is a result of, in my discussions, just to try and deal with 94-7C and have something that we could rely on in the interim. I would tell you that if you'll remember, Commissioner Cardozo reached out to an organization that deals with state government ethics, and they provided us with a list of state governments that have something, what they do with it. And the only 3 states that they came up with it actually have an ethics commission that deals with this kind of procedure are California, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, thank you. I've looked at all of those, and essentially they're the same as what we do in terms of staff making decisions based on precedent, and the commission getting something that is not precedential. There is no precedent. And that seems to be the way they've worked, and judging from the legislative history, they've been doing it for quite a long time. So the goal is to have something for now as we work through it, and that's the theory and logic behind it. Is this the final product? Oh no, but we have to really sit down and go through it to thrash it out and make sure that the entire commission is comfortable with it and that we deal with the Hogan Lovells issues and all of that so that it all wraps into one cohesive final policy. This is, as I say, an interim, says it right on top. That's the purpose of it. Any other discussion?
Like I said, I wanted to have some discussion about the legalities and the implications before I could vote on this. So if you want to have the discussion, I think it does involve legal advice, and I'd like to just err on the side of caution. But if you don't, there's stuff I need to know before I'm ready to vote, or because the committee is just recommending, of course.
Right, it'll go to the full commission.
There is other information that I'd like to have before I could make recommendation.
We can't do that today. What happens? What's our
We have
policy?
time, what policy is in place right now? If the law is what it says, then then we don't need to change, right?
I think
And so, right,
I think that the idea here is to get some clarity for the interim.
and I'm just saying, so if that's what the law says and that's what, is required, then we don't need the interim proposed resolution.
Well, I think we do, because there's the law and then there's our procedure that emanates from the law, but must be consistent with the law. And I think this provides staff clarity and it provides the board's clarity as to where the board is going to weigh in and where the staff has prerogative to proceed. Now, what we're proposing is that we take an in-depth look at all of that between now and September and come back with a full proposal that takes into consideration the things that both you and Commissioner Whittingham have recommended.
And we have 25 minutes, I don't know why we can't have a discussion.
I would agree, we could get the legal advice.
I'd like to hear, I'd like to know what Michael.
Well, I just getting, if you recall the memo that I wrote in 2 or 3 months ago, analyzing all of these issues, saying that we have to make a decision on each one of these issues.
I do
We're not-
remember.
we're not gonna do that.
Comments to that as
Yes,
well.
right, and we're not going to
So-
do that in 20 minutes.
We can at least talk about it.
So, but yes, but we already have a lengthy agenda. We have another meeting on a different subject scheduled after the commission meeting. And if we debate this, and I'm not saying that the suggestions you're making are not good, but there's plenty of other ones as well, and I just don't think we can do it in the next 15 minutes.
All right, I'm going to entertain a motion to go to executive session so we can confer with counsel and see if we can come to a conclusion on this today. If we can't, we can't. Is there a motion to go to executive session?
Yes.
And Commissioner Cardozo, seconded by Commissioner Caraballo. All in favor? Opposed? All right. We'll go into executive session.
Marlena?
Please stand by. Yes, please. We're live.
Thank you. All right, we've had the opportunity to confer with counsel with regard to some of the issues raised by members of the committee. I believe, is there any other discussion?
Yeah, and so I'd like to make a motion to amend the proposal to state that in the event of a request from a statewide official or elected official or a head of department, staff not issue informal guidance until the commission has voted on that guidance, on the understanding that we can do that by email.
Discussion? Michael?
Well, number one, I'm not
Okay.
sure we can vote by email as a single public meeting.
Agree.
It's a violation of the open meetings.
Violation of open meetings law.
Okay,
And secondly,
Okay, then with all due respect, I'm ruling the motion out of order.
Yeah, I'm gonna withdraw the motion on that understanding.
I would like to make a motion to amend just to provide that um, that pursuant to and in accordance with the executive law, the staff shall provide prompt, informal ethics and lobbying guidance whenever there exists commission precedent to those persons whose conduct the commission oversees who request guidance other than statewide elected officials and state agency heads. Otherwise,
So we're telling all statewide officials, don't expect the prompt advice until September.
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair.
It's,
I think that, and with all due respect to my commissioner, whom I love and admire, I think based on what council has told us about that potentially contravening the law, I think it would be a huge mistake to do that now.
first of all, do we have a second?
yes.
All right, all in favor of the motion?
But
Wait,
I just
no,
want
I
to
was gonna say-
emphasize the gravity of this. We have an opinion from our council that something we're about to do is inconsistent with the law. And we're gonna go ahead and, I'm gonna beg Commissioner Carpio to withdraw that motion.
I don't see it the way you do. I don't.
No, not the way I do.
Council.
You disagree with it.
I disagree with, I don't disagree with the advice of council. I read the statute differently. And I take our responsibility a little differently. And so.
I think that's a huge problem. I think we should really think about what we're doing. Really think about it, because we're just setting a precedent that we're now going to decide as a commission that we're going to interpret this without a full conversation and discussion. And I just think it takes.
If I can just finish my, okay.
One second. So, Commissioner Carvalho, I respect your motion. Based on the discussion that was had in executive session with council, I think it goes against the advice of council to have a motion like this. I agree, I understand your concerns. I understand the concerns of several commissioners. I think the best way forward, as Chair Davey has mentioned, is to then have a discussion, a fuller discussion about any disagreements that are had about the law. But if council for this commission has given legal guidance, legal advice, and I think it would be not in this commission's interest to go against the advice of council at this point. If there are disagreements about what council's advice is, that is understandable and it can be discussed further. But I do believe that going against the advice of council at this point without a further discussion would not be in the best interest of this agency.
And I just want to say, but if the current delegation resolution that we put in place says exactly what this says already, then
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
all right, so,
So without this resolution, what is the current procedure here? I mean, this is the interim procedure
Right.
to give the commissioners a bit of a comfort, a bit of direction in the case of certain guidance requests that come in.
And a voice with regard to that which has no precedence.
Exactly. So go ahead.
And because, and with all due respect, because the motion that you're urging consideration of, that was the subject of considerable discussion a few minutes ago in executive session, to now represent the very same amendment that we discussed in executive session, I would advise the chair that the motion is out of order.
the motion is out of order.
Let me just add something, because we've
I mean,
discussed.
Yeah, it's just.
If I may, let me just add, and this is an interim procedure, and we gave it a lot of thought. We spent a lot of time with the statute, and I think both commissioners and staff have been respectful of one another in how we've handled this situation overall. We are, and it's been the position of staff that we should, keeping commissioners apprised of all requests for guidance that we receive that are going to generate informal letter guidance from staff. We issue approximately 400 of these a year. But in connection with every commission meeting, we're providing you with the full law. And it indicates what's in the door, what the status of the matters are, what they involve, and where we stand with rendering guidance or planning to render guidance. In addition, we have created a practice formally of providing commissioners with a heads up whenever we do receive any kind of request from senior government officials. So there's a complete free and open exchange of information. In fact, the couple that we've been talking about, to the extent we've had advance notice, we've apprised everyone of that. So there's nothing happening that commissioners are not fully apprised of. All we're talking about here is in the interim, ensuring that both staff and commission are comfortable with the procedures we're following, and that the quality control that Commissioner Whittingham has talked about is in place. We're ensuring, we're informing you in advance. We're informing you when guidance is issued. We're informing the recipient that the guidance is subject to being superseded. And we're ensuring that commissioners are aware of the guidance so that if there is an interest, and whether it's automatic or someone has to make a judgment on the commission, that it's before the commission. So that the quality control measures are in the system from every moment of the process. There's nothing happening that commissioners aren't apprised of. And there's nothing to prevent commissioners, if they wish, to intervene in advance of determination. You have the log at every meeting. And we always invite discussion. And we're happy to talk about any matters that we have. So there are no occasions where something's going to be happening that could be overlooked and where there won't be an opportunity for full, complete vetting and review by the commission. It's just a question of staff needing some assurance in the interim until a formal determination is made by the commission that we're fulfilling our legal obligation and our interpretation of the statute, which requires that prompt guidance be provided. And there are well and good policy reasons for prompt guidance to be provided. And we want to ensure everyone whose conduct we supervise that at any time they have a question and they need advice, the commission, through its staff, is available to provide that guidance. I'll leave it at that, but I think the purpose of the proposed resolution is just to give us, and that is staff, and the commissioners comfort.
And that we can address these issues as we address our final approach to the whole thing. This is an interim. It's not the final version of what's going to come out in September. I would hope, I haven't spoken to this yet, I would hope that we can just give something to the staff to allow them to work through it, and we'll address all of the amendments and fixes that can happen. But I would suggest that we not make any changes to the proposed interim guideline procedures until we've had a chance to fully review it as a committee.
I just want to say, I think it's that I won't, for many of the reasons that have been said, I won't support changing the proposed resolution in this meeting. Partly because I do respect staff's judgment and want to make sure that we on the commission fully understand staff's analysis before we have a chance to vote on it. I want to say that some of the tension at this meeting, I think, comes from the fact that we haven't had a lot of time to review this before, and we don't have a written analysis on this question from staff, and that I think so. That's just a hope that in the future we can avoid some of that. And I'm not saying that's anybody's fault. Stuff comes up urgently, and we have a huge amount of things to do. The other thing I want to say though is that I do feel. I've been counsel and given advice to agencies, and I regret to say that there's no obligation on the part of the client to accept the advice of counsel.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Right, they never happened to me.
I
knew it never happened.
Thank you. That's exactly.
Happy to ever say
You can
that.
take the advice, you can listen.
Okay.
So,
But-
I thank you for saying that, because that was my statement.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And so my view of my role as a commissioner, and I do, even though I'm not going to support the motion and maybe we won't make it anymore, but I do strongly support the idea that, Commissioners Whittingham and Caraballo are not comfortable with the policy that we have as it works, and I think for good reasons. And frankly, I find the substance of the analysis that's been presented so far on the law doesn't persuade me. I don't think you're right, that anything here is inconsistent with the law. I'm deferring because you may turn out to be right, and I think it takes a further conversation to work through all these issues. But I do want to emphasize that, I think the role of each of us is we were all put here by our appointing authorities to exercise our judgment on these things, and particularly on issues involving high-profile cases going forward. The last thing I'll say is I would propose that we affirmatively sunset this proposed resolution in September rather than just making any formal commitment. I think this was Commissioner Curtis. So I'm making a motion that that we have an affirmative sunset of whatever the date of our September meeting is, and that this proposal cease being in effect in that. So that's my motion.
Okay, first of all, we have an amendment on the floor.
Oh, okay.
All in favor of the proposed amendments to the resolution proposed by Commissioner Caraballo? Aye. Opposed? Motion is not passed. We have a second motion to amend the.
It's accepted as a friendly.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay. So paragraph 5 to the resolution, that this resolution shall be effect until the September 2023 meeting of the commission. All in favor of the resolution as amended? The commission still has to vote on this now, and then we will have a further resolution by September. No, this is a committee meeting.
Resolution.
This is the guidance, special committee on guidance to the full commission. Full commission. It's a friendly amendment there. You don't need a. All in favor of the resolution as amended? 3 opposed, 2 carries. It's referred to the full commission for action.
I'd just like to, if I can, before we close this committee, confirm with everything said, my opposition to.
Oh, yeah.
Only has to do with the fact that these are, I believe, substantive issues that we need time to discuss. Not that we don't have the right to disagree. I think if we're going to disagree with council, we need to be very
Fully vetted.
deliberative.
That's a good point. And I heard from council was as if we did not. I also want to make it clear that this has been on the table since January. It is not something that got on the table a month ago or 2 months ago. And it's one singular issue that we were dealing with today. So I want to make that clear, and I'm hoping that in the minutes, it is reflected the dissent and not just the numbers.
But I also want to make clear that I believe anytime we make a decision, we think we're going to have a decision to disagree with council, we've had enough time to really vet it and have maybe some outside voices weigh in on the various perspectives on a particular interpretation of a statute that governs what we do.
And I would remind everybody, it's an interim proposal,
Yeah.
just to get us through the summer. All right. There being no other business before the committee, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.
All right. So let's just go right into the commission meeting. And, yeah, if anybody needs to take a quick break.
Is there anybody else who's
Anybody needs a break?
where you have them loaded for?
Okay, so we'll take a break for 5 minutes and we'll reconvene as the commission, let's say at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time.
Right, Marlena?
I have media services on the line. I'm going to mute Albany and New York City.